Okay, ever get that kind of like creepy feeling when you think about like someone hacking a self-driving car?
Oh, yeah.
Right. Or what if someone messed with like the AI that's reading your medical scans, you know?
Yeah, that's getting a little too close to home.
Seriously. So today we're going deep into AI and machine learning security.
Okay, sounds good.
And you found some seriously interesting research on a new framework. It's called AML, ATT&CK.
Yeah, this is a really cool one.
I know, right? It's all about helping developers, build those AI systems, but like make them safer.
Right, build them right in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. And get this, it's based on tons of research.
How much?
Like a massive amount, 860 research papers.
Wow.
I know, that's what I thought. So by the end of this deep dive, you'll totally get how these attacks actually happen,
Okay.
but also how to stop them.
Yeah.
We're even going to talk about actual tools you can use so you can like really dig in further.
Oh, cool.
All right, so first things first, let's like decode this whole AML, ATT&CK thing.
Sure.
So it sounds a bit, kind of mysterious.
It does, a little bit,
Right,
like a secret code or something.
All right, so think of it like a playbook,
Okay.
but it's for cybersecurity. But not like the normal kind.
Yeah.
This one's all about AI,
Right.
the unique ways AI can be vulnerable.
Gotcha.
And what's really interesting is it doesn't just tell you about the attacks. It also talks about defenses.
Okay.
And get this, even specific tools.
Wait, hold on. It lists actual tools.
Yeah.
That's super practical.
It is. It's designed to be a hands-on resource.
No, I'm already seeing how this could be helpful.
Yeah.
Okay, before we get too deep in the weeds here,
Okay.
who are the people like on the front lines of this whole AI security world?
That's a good question. And the research actually calls them AML security workers.
Okay.
Pretty straightforward, right?
Makes sense.
Basically, they're the cybersecurity specialists who are like laser focused on AI systems.
Gotcha. So they got to know this stuff inside and out. They do. And the demand for these experts is like skyrocketing.
Yeah, that makes sense. AI is everywhere.
It is. So yeah, big demand.
So to be good at this, these AML security workers, they have to be able to think like, both the good guys and the bad guys.
You got it. It's like a constant game of chess.
Right. Always got to be one step ahead.
Exactly.
So how does this AML, ATT&CK framework help them like get into the attacker's head?
Well, it basically maps out all the different ways an attack could happen.
Okay.
It organizes them by like the attacker's goals
Yeah.
and how much they know about the system
Gotcha.
and the tactics they might use.
So like what's a real world example that would make me go, oh, that's kind of scary?
Imagine like someone trying to steal all the training data
Okay.
that's used for like a self-driving car system.
Whoa.
We're talking everything.
Yeah.
Street maps, driving patterns of real people.
Yeah.
Super valuable information.
Yeah, I could see how that'd be a gold mine for someone with bad intentions.
Also,
And you mentioned like different levels of attacker awareness. What's that all about?
oh, right, yeah. So there's white box, gray box, and black box attacks.
Okay.
Think of it like different levels of access.
Yeah.
Like with a white box attack, the attacker knows everything about the system.
So they have like full access.
Total access. Code, data, the works.
So like in our self-driving car example, they've basically got the keys to the kingdom.
Pretty much.
Right.
Thankfully, that's the rarest type of attack.
Okay. That's good at least.
Then you've got gray box where they have some information but not everything.
Okay.
And then like the most common, black box,
Okay.
where they're working with very limited knowledge.
But even without knowing everything, they could still do some damage, right?
Oh, absolutely. That's why understanding these different types of attacks is like super important.
So it's like the first step in figuring out how to protect these systems.
Exactly. It's all about knowing your enemy.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So let's dig into the attacks themselves.
Okay.
How does ATT&CK like categorize them?
So there are three main categories: poisoning, evasion, and exploratory.
Okay, break those down for me.
Sure.
Let's start with poisoning.
Okay, so poisoning attacks, those happen during like the training phase of an AI model.
So like when it's still learning.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine like an attacker slipping bad data into the training set.
Okay.
It's like a Trojan horse.
Sneaky.
Totally messes up the AI's learning and makes it behave in like unpredictable ways later on.
So they're basically messing with his brain from the very beginning.
Right.
Wow. And what's an example of like a specific poisoning attack?
One that's particularly nasty is data injection.
Okay.
Remember our self-driving car example?
Yeah.
Imagine an attacker injecting data that makes the car think a stop sign is something else.
Like what? A speed limit sign?
Exactly.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's scary.
It is.
So poisoning is all about corrupting the training.
Yeah.
What about evasion?
So evasion attacks, those target an AI that's already trained.
Okay.
The goal is to, like, trick it
Trick it.
into making the wrong decisions by, like, subtly messing with the data it gets.
So, like, what would that look like in the real world?
Let's go back to our self-driving car.
Okay.
An attacker could, like, slightly change an image of a stop sign,
Okay.
just enough that the car's AI misinterprets it.
Oh, wow.
High stakes, right?
Yeah, that's seriously messed up.
It is.
Okay, so we've got poisoning, evasion, and the last one is exploratory. What are those all about?
So exploratory attacks are more about gathering information.
Okay.
The attacker's trying to understand how the AI works,
Right.
what data it was trained on, even its structure.
So, like, they're spying on it to find weaknesses.
Exactly. It's like reconnaissance
Gotcha.
before launching a bigger attack.
And is there, like, a specific type of exploratory attack that stands out?
One that's really concerning is called model inversion.
Okay.
It's essentially reverse engineering.
Whoa.
The attacker tries to figure out, like, the private training data that was used to build the AI.
So back to our car example. They could figure out where the car has driven,
Yeah.
potentially even, like the driver's habits.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay. So how do we protect against all of this? That's where the defensive side of AML, AT&CK comes in.
We got it. We'll get into that next.
All right. So we've talked about all the scary ways that AI systems can be attacked.
Yeah, it's a lot.
But this AML, ATT&CK framework,
Right.
it's not just about pointing out the problems, is it?
No, not at all.
There's got to be solutions, right?
Absolutely.
So let's talk about that.
Okay.
What are some ways to actually protect these AI systems?
Well, that's where the defensive side of the framework comes in.
Okay.
It basically lays out different strategies you can use
Gotcha.
to protect AI systems from these attacks.
Okay, so let's switch gears here.
Mm-hmm.
Put on our white hats.
Time for some defense.
Exactly. So what kind of defensive tactics are we talking about?
Well, they're organized into what the framework calls defensive scenarios. And each one is designed to address, like, specific types of attacks.
Gotcha. So it's like a custom-fit solution.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, so remember that data injection attack we were talking about earlier?
Yeah, the one with the self-driving car.
Right, where the AI gets tricked into thinking a stop sign is something else?
Yeah, that's a bad one.
Totally. So how do we stop that from happening?
One way is to use something called adversarial detection.
Okay.
It's basically like an alarm system.
For your AI?
Yeah, for the AI's training data.
Okay.
So there are these special algorithms that can spot, like, those malicious data points before they can do any damage.
So it's like a security checkpoint for the AI's learning.
Exactly. And then there are other tactics, too, like adversarial removal.
Okay.
Where you actually go in and, like, clean up the data.
So get rid of the bad stuff.
Exactly. Remove those bad data points.
Okay.
Or training modification, where you actually make the AI model itself, like, tougher.
So it's less likely to be fooled. Wow, this is like next level cybersecurity stuff.
It is. There's a lot to consider.
So all this sounds great in theory, but there have to be actual tools that people use to, like, put these defenses into practice, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay, I'm listening.
The AML, AT&CK framework, it actually lists, like, over 100 tools.
Wow, really?
Yeah, 105 to be exact.
That's amazing.
I know, right? And they're all, like, categorized by whether they're for, attacking or defending.
Right.
And if they're open source or proprietary.
Okay.
And even what kind of AI system they're meant for.
So it's like a toolbox.
Yeah, exactly. A toolbox for AI security professionals.
I like that.
Okay, so this framework, it sounds super helpful, but, like, does it actually work?
That's the big question, right?
Yeah, is there any proof that using this stuff actually makes a difference?
There is. The researchers actually did a user evaluation.
Okay.
They took AI engineers who, like, didn't have a ton of cybersecurity experience, and they gave them the task of securing an AI system. Half of them had access to AML, ATT&CK, and half of them didn't.
Right.
The group using the framework did way better.
Really?
Yeah. They were able to, like, find more vulnerabilities and build stronger defenses.
That's impressive.
It is.
So it really does work.
It seems to make a big difference.
That's awesome. So this isn't just some, theoretical research paper.
No, not at all.
It's actually a practical tool that can help people build safer AI.
Right. And I think it highlights something really important.
What's that?
AI security, it's not a one-time thing.
Okay.
It's an ongoing process.
Makes sense.
Especially as AI keeps evolving,
Or the threats are constantly changing too.
Exactly.
And we need to keep learning and adapting.
Absolutely. And AML, ATT&CK, it gives you like a really solid foundation for navigating this crazy, ever-changing world.
So where can people find this framework?
It's all online, actually.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, you can find it at www.aimlattack.com.
All right, I'm writing that down.
It's publicly available, too, which is awesome.
That is awesome. Okay, so today we talked about how important AML security is, right?
Mm-hmm.
We dug into like all sorts of different attacks.
Yeah, we covered a lot.
And we even explored some of the tactics and tools that can be used for defense.
It was a good overview.
We also learned about like this whole new breed of cybersecurity professionals, the AML security workers.
The defenders of the AI frontier.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But honestly, it's also a little unsettling.
How so?
Well, we're just scratching the surface of AI's potential, right?
Yeah, just the beginning.
And we're already facing all these crazy security challenges.
It's true.
What happens when AI becomes even more powerful? You know?
That's the big question.
Even more integrated into our lives.
Yeah, and it raises some important questions.
Like what?
Well, what happens when someone uses AI for, like, bad stuff?
Right, or what if an AI makes a decision that has, like, huge consequences, but we don't even know how it got there? So it's more than just protecting AI from attacks.
Right.
It's also about protecting ourselves from AI.
Yeah, it's a two-way street.
Whoa, that's mind-blowing.
It is, and it's why these conversations are so crucial.
Okay, I'm ready to dive deeper.
Me too. Let's explore some of these ethical questions.
Okay, so we've spent a lot of time, you know, talking about the technical stuff, like how AI can be attacked and defended.
Right, the nuts and bolts.
Yeah, exactly.
But like we mentioned before, there's a whole other side to this, right?
Right. It's not just about keeping the AI safe.
Yeah, it's bigger than that.
It's also about, like, what happens when AI goes wrong?
Exactly, the potential consequences.
And that's kind of what we wanted to dive into now, right?
Yeah, let's get into it.
So it's like we've built this amazing tool,
The AI, yeah.
but we're still figuring out, you know,
All the rules.
yeah, the safety manual.
They're there.
Like, we can build the most secure AI system in the world, but if someone decides to use it, you know, for bad stuff,
For harmful purposes.
yeah, that we still have a problem.
A big one.
So it's almost like,
A double-edged sword.
yeah, that's a good way to put it.
It is. We need to protect AI systems, but we also need to protect ourselves from them.
That's kind of mind-blowing.
It is, and it's why these conversations are so important.
So, like, what are some real-world examples of this?
Well, think about it. What if AI is used to, like, discriminate against certain groups of people?
Right, we've already seen examples of bias in AI.
We have. It's a real concern.
Or what if it's used to spread misinformation,
Oh, yeah.
like, on a massive scale?
That's a scary thought.
It is. It feels like we're entering this, like, whole new era, and we're still trying to figure out the ethics of it all.
Yeah, we're playing catch-up.
Exactly.
Like, AI is developing so fast.
Right, it's moving at warp speed.
Which is why it's so important to have these discussions now.
Okay, I agree. But where do we even begin?
Well, I think one starting point is, like, the principle of fairness.
Fairness. Okay.
AI systems shouldn't be biased against anyone.
Right, they shouldn't make things worse.
Exactly. They shouldn't perpetuate inequalities.
And what else?
Transparency is huge, too.
Transparency.
People need to understand how these systems work.
Right, how they make decisions.
Exactly.
And who's responsible if something goes wrong.
Absolutely. Accountability is key.
Yeah, because it's not like you can just ask the AI for an explanation.
Right. It's not that simple.
So it's not about being afraid of AI.
No, not at all.
It's about understanding it and making sure it's used responsibly.
Exactly. And that requires everyone to be involved.
Like who?
Ethicists, social scientists, policymakers.
Even everyday people.
Absolutely. We all have a stake in this.
So it's not just about the tech.
It's about the human element.
Yeah, like what kind of world do we want to build with this technology?
Right. What are our values?
And how do we make sure those values are reflected in the AI we create?
Exactly.
This has been an incredible deep dive.
It has.
We started with like the nitty-gritty details of AI attacks and defenses. And now we're talking about like the future of humanity.
It's all connected.
It really is.
AI has the potential to do so much good.
It does, but it also has the potential to do harm.
And it all comes down to us.
Yeah, the choices we make.
Exactly.
So for our listeners who want to learn more, definitely check out the AML, ATT&CK framework.
Great resource.
It's at www.aimlatex.com.
Easy to remember.
It is, and it's a great starting point.
For anyone who wants to dive into this world.
Yeah, and I think the biggest takeaway for me is that this is just the beginning.
Oh, yeah, we're just getting started.
AI is constantly changing.
It is.
And we need to keep learning and adapting.
Absolutely. Be curious, ask questions.
And don't be afraid to have those tough conversations.
Exactly.
Well, that's all the time we have for today.
This was great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. We'll be back next time with a brand new topic.
Looking forward to it.
So be sure to subscribe and stay tuned.
And keep exploring.
Until then, keep learning.